Hello, I'm Ehud Gat, and I'm here to talk to you about my book, Lilith, Operation Genesis. Now let's start with what the book is about. Imagine you got a government contract, like go in and develop an island. It's just beyond the side of the mainland, but you get well paid. You're gonna go there, build infrastructure, buildings, power grid. You got a ship or ships that will be bringing in all the resources, all the food you need. If someone needs medical attention or something like this, then you got a helicopter that can come in at a moment's notice, and you got internet and phone so you can be in touch with everyone on the mainland. But then something happens. The mainland goes silent. You got no communication whatsoever. No phone, the internet's down, not even smoke signals. The ships no longer arrive. No food coming, no resources, no nothing. And when you try to call that helicopter, it ain't coming. This is sort of what happens in the beginning of Lilith Operation Genesis. Rhea is a planet. It's about 1,000 light years away from Earth, pretty darn far, and it is being a backwater. It was not really involved while humanity is in war with the Orions, a race of aliens from the Orionist constellation. But people were afraid that the Orions might be up to something, ready for their big move, and suddenly Earth goes silent. Solar system goes silent. No communication, no galactic cybernet, no hyperwave transmissions, not even smoke signals. The ships stop arriving, and Rhea is a brand new colony. It's not really self-sufficient. Worse, most of the people there, all their families and loved ones are back on Earth. And this is the starting of the situation. Naturally, it's going to get really, really bad. People are very worried. People think that maybe the government, the local government on Rhea actually know more than they're telling, and you got this really, really explosive situation. So order is crumbling, anarchy is loose upon the world, and the only forces really standing up and trying to maintain order is a small group of elite space marines. They were there for completely different reasons, and suddenly they're right there in the spotlight and trying to save what's left of humanity, realizing that Rhea might just be the only place where humans still exist. And into all this, we got Lilith coming in. Lilith identifies herself as a bounty huntress for hire, which she technically is, but that is like saying that air is technically particles of gases. It's accurate, but incomplete. We need air to breathe after all. And Lilith is much more than just a bounty huntress. She knows things that most people don't know. In fact, she holds secrets that are vital to the survival of humanity. And quickly, really from the beginning, it becomes very obvious that Lilith is not just a ordinary bounty huntress. If you don't mind, I will read to you the description of how she looks. People turned to look at her as she moved further into the hall. She wore loose jungle camouflage trousers and a black tank top. The skin of her exposed shoulders and arms was milky white, not pale so much as colorless. In Rhea, where the blue sun tanned the skin very quickly, it was anomalous, bizarre even. Garbed in such exposed manner, she was as out of place amongst all these suits as a lioness among zebras. In contrast to the pale skin, her hair was raven black, falling in locks around her face. Her eyes were cat-like greenish, glimmering fiercely, suggesting, something in her sunken cheeks and thin features suggested this woman was just a meal away from malnourishment. She was a short and slender predator, her stature only rising to 155 centimeters. However, her posture conveyed a subliminal warning. She was the kind of woman you'd expect to see carrying a large caliber pistol, a Japanese katana sword, or a whip. She had a pair of entwined snakes tattooed in black ink on her left biceps. She wore skull earrings and had a silver ring piercing in her right nostril. She knew that everything about her suggested violence and was proud when other people picked up that hidden message. She ignored the looks, eyeing the tables with a quirked eyebrow. And this is where I'll stop for now. Let's talk a little bit about the story, the world. I have to say, trying to kind of see what the world will be like in 300 years, what people would be like, is actually very difficult. If you go back about 50 years, a little bit more now, you'd find a really good science fiction author by the name of Clifford Simak. He wrote a book called City, a masterpiece book, really. And Simak thought that the advent of flight would turn cities into obsolete things. He believed that soon, like everyone had a car, soon people will have their own jets or their own helicopters, and with those they'd be able to commute long distances, and the idea of a city as a place that you are in to leave clothes to work would no longer be valid. People would become somewhat of recluses, and they'd be living away from one another and just commuting long distances using those personal flying machines. Now, looking back, today we know that he was a little bit off the track there, and his predictions really didn't come true. But I suppose at the time, with airplanes becoming so common, it seemed like the natural next evolution of personal transportation. And I've been actually someone pointed out to me a few months back, did you know that none of the big, good, successful science fiction authors predicted the personal computer? Not Asimov, not Heinlein, not Silverberg, not Niven, none of them. In fact, no science fiction book out there came even close. In most books, computers were very limited in fashion. You had very unique skills needed to jack into a data matrix. If you think of Neuromancer by William Gibson, that was a good example where you had the cowboys, the hackers that were able to jack and get information, but no one saw a world in which you hold basically the sum total of human knowledge in your hands. But look at your smartphone. There's a very good chance you're seeing this on a smartphone. Everything on the internet is available to you, and that's an amazing amount of knowledge, an amazing amount of computer power. Your smartphone is capable of computing things probably we would never be able to with our minds. Can you imagine Einstein with that kind of computing power? That would have been interesting. I like to give an example. Failing is to predict the future. Remember 1977, Star Wars. here comes Luke Skywalker flying that X-Wing into that narrow channel, trying to hit that little hole in the Death Star. And it's like a really, really tiny hole, and he's got to hit right there, pinpoint, and the computer support is worthless. You got to use the Force. Nowadays, we got, not a long time ago in a galaxy far away, but nowadays we still haven't gotten to the point of building starships and Death Stars. But we already have cruise missiles that you launch from here, and 800 miles away, you can choose which window they go in. So people just, very hard to predict the future. And the world we're talking about here, this is 300 years into the future. I had to kind of guess what will happen. What will happen in 300 years? Because it's not just predicting how the world is, but what happened in those 300 years. 300 years is a lot of time. Just look at the last 100 years. You had 2 world wars. You've gone from a horse-drawn carriage society to a car and airplane society, and where once the communication between nations took weeks, now the communication between individuals is instantaneous. I can talk to my parents in Israel, half a world away, and I talk to them, get digital voice quality. I can see them as if they were standing right next to me. This is fantastic. So think how much the world can change in 300 years. I predicted several cataclysms, significant nuclear war. I predicted that democracy would evolve at last to something more based on personal merit. Whereas if you think that your doctor or the police officer or almost anyone, they have to be certified. They have to have certain merits before they can do their jobs. And if they don't have those merits, they can't do their job. But politicians don't need to have any merits. They just need to smile and, say things that make you nod your head, and they tend to win elections like that. Or, in other countries, maybe they're just devious enough and powerful enough, and they use strength to take control. But there's not really a lot of merit out there. You don't get a lot of people who have, experience in administration, experience in governing, experience in organizing things and fixing things. And that's why democracies are broken. And they're getting worse. I think every single democracy in the world has been seeing a slow decline in the efficiency of the government and how good the government is for the people. So my belief is that the next evolution would be a democracy still, but based on personal merit. Before you can run for office, you've got to prove you've got what it takes. And if you want to keep that office, well, you got to do what you promised you'd do. Earth is united. All of humanity is one. The different countries have become independent states, more like in a federal system. But, they're still very unique, different states. There's a lot of technological advancement. We fly faster than light, as the presence of humankind on the planet some 1,000 light years away suggests, and are able to use instantaneous data transmission. Faster than light flight is not instantaneous. I work with the concept that while the speed of light is the final speed, the ultimate speed of the universe, that's true in our 4 dimensions. But if we skew our 4 dimensions, we might skew the speed of light. And if we are talking about a ship capable of going into relativistic speeds, then if you skew the speed of light, you skew the relativity. So if we send a ship into a situation where the speed of light has been made 1,000 times faster, and that ship moves at 1% of the speed of light, it still moves at 1% of the speed of light, but 1,000 times faster than what it would be moving in real space. So that's hyperspace for you. I'm sure someone would call me out on it and say how it's completely and utterly illogical, and I'm willing to debate that. In fact, if you want to tell me something, ask me something, make a comment, feel free to do so right here, or on my Facebook page. Here's a link to my Facebook page right here. Yeah. And, you know, feel free to read the book and review the book and tell me what you thought about it. What do you think I should change or fix up, or, you know, I'm open to suggestions. Now, Lilith Operation Genesis is a standalone book, but there are other books in the same universe that actually are prequels. That is because in the writing of Lilith Operation Genesis, I found that I created a very unique world with a lot of story to it, very, very story-rich, and I wanted to explore more of the background and the history of the characters. So there's Lilith, Space Battle for Vega. That's the second book in the series. You can read that independently of Operation Genesis. There's a third book. Tentatively at the moment I'm calling it Death Among the Stars. It may change by the time it comes out, which hopefully would be early 2015. Don't hold me to my word on this. Time's running. Tempus fugit, really. Now, you don't have to buy the print versions. I love the fact that nowadays we got ebooks. And ebooks have revolutionized writing in the sense that you no longer have to print the books. You don't have to wait for the book to get to you. You buy it and, you know, instantaneously available. And ebooks are much cheaper because there is no production costs whatsoever. So if you go to the Amazon page, you can see the link right here. And you buy one of these books in ebook form, it's going to be a lot cheaper. You don't need to have a Kindle or a likewise reader. Nowadays, there is a free Kindle app for your smartphone or your PC. You can download that directly from Amazon. It's completely free, and you can read other ebooks like that, not just mine. And I would recommend it. Just, you know, get good books and read them. That's all I have to say for now, I think. If you feel like telling me anything or asking something, feel free to contact, comment, talk to me on Facebook. I promise I won't bite. I'm not really in the mood for biting anyways. And hey, I'm Ehud Gat. I approve this message. So long.